देवानंद साहब की एक बेहतरीन फिल्म थी, आप सबको याद होगी, गाइड। उसमें रफी साहब का एक जबरदस्त दर्द भरा नगमा था, क्या से क्या हो गया। अब क्या बोलूं उसके आगे। यहाँ पे सीएस साहब आज येलो जैकेट में बैठे हुए हैं, संदीप जी मुस्कुरा रहे हैं क्योंकि उनका प्रेडिक्शन था कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया जीतेगा। ओवर टू यू जेंटलमैन। सबसे पहले सीएस साहब, क्या कहाँ भूल हो गई हमसे जो ये सजा हमको मिली है?
देखिए, पहली बात, मुझे नहीं लगता कि इससे बढ़िया क्रिकेट इंडिया ने पिछले कई दशकों में खेला होगा। इतना अच्छा वन साइडेड मैचेस आप जीत रहे हो, इतना अच्छा क्रिकेट खेल रहे हो, आपके पास वर्ल्ड का बेस्ट पेस अटैक है। उसके बावजूद भी एक किस मूर्ख ने कहा था कि इस विकेट को चुनिए? क्या ये कलेक्टिव डिसीजन था? तब तो सबको, जो बिशन सिंह बेदी थे, कि समुंदर में फेंक दो। ये डिसीजन कलेक्टिव नहीं हो सकता। ये कहीं ऊपर से आता है, ये कहीं कोई और डिसीजन ऐसे करता है। मैंने बहुत से ऐसे डिसीजन देखे हैं। जब आईसीसी का ग्राउंड्समैन आया था, एटिंगसन, क्या नाम है जो भी, एटकिंसन, जो और कह रहे थे, और धीरज जो जो है, जो मोहाली वाले थे, और दिल्ली में विंटर ग्रास लगवा दी थी। यहाँ के ग्राउंड्समैन कह रहे थे, सर ये कौन सी ग्रास है, हमें नहीं पता। हम 50 साल से ये विकेट्स बना रहे हैं, हमारा बचपन यहाँ गुजरा है, मत कीजिए। और वो, आपको याद है कि कैसे मैच अबंडन हो गया था, कैसे कॉल ऑफ हो गया था पहली बार हिस्ट्री में। तो ये किसने विकेट चुनी? और मुझे समझ नहीं आता। आपके पास वर्ल्ड के 3 लीडिंग पेस बॉलर्स हैं, उनसे डर रहे हैं लोग। और वो विकेट्स भी ऐसे ले रहे हैं कि 7-7, 5-5। बुमराह को तो कोई रीड ही नहीं कर पा रहा है। उसके बावजूद आपने स्लो टर्नर, ड्राई ड्राई एंड वेरी ड्राई विकेट। क्यों भला? किससे डर रहे थे? क्या सोच रहे थे? कौन देखने ऐसा आ रहा है कि आपको मैच में लग रहा था कि हम वन साइडेड जीतते हैं? देखिए,
So
आप
Sandeep,
गलत
yes,
चॉइस थी।
we have quite a few aspects to discuss, but I'll come back to you with another supplementary and a quick one. Do you believe that the pitch was the main villain?
100%. Pitch was the main villain, and nobody was sure who is going to win the game. The pitch played in two completely different variations. First time जब इंडिया खेल रहा था, pitch was behaving differently. It was very difficult to score runs. And second time also, when obviously there was very less dew, the dew factor didn't work that much. And even if would have been worked, तो इंडिया को प्रॉब्लम होती, हमारे स्पिनर्स को मुश्किल था। तो ऐसी
Okay.
विकेट्स को क्यों चूज करना है जहां पर आप किसी और फैक्टर पर डिपेंड करोगे? आपके पास बेस्ट बेस्ट बैटिंग लाइनअप है, आपके सब लोग स्कोर कर रहे हैं, आपके पास बेस्ट बॉलिंग लाइनअप है, आपके सब विकेट ले रहे हैं, एंड डिस्पाइट ऑल दैट यू पिक द अननोन विकेट, यू पिक द वेरी ड्राई विकेट, एंड
Okay.
डिडंट अलाउ एनी ग्राउंड्समैन टू इवन थोड़ा स्प्रिंकल करने के लिए भी नहीं किया गया। I mean, overall, I think it was a bad choice of wicket, and also some limited ideas from the top. और वो टॉप पे कौन है, आई डोंट नो। बट ओवरऑल आपको बता रहा हूँ, राहुल द्रविड़ का कल मैच के साथ ही उनका कॉन्ट्रैक्ट खत्म हो गया। सो ये एक इम्पॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है।
Sandeep, you were at the 2003 ODI World Cup final between India and Australia at Joburg, and India got badly hammered. Ricky Ponting was their skipper, Saurav Ganguly was ours, and now again a match which typically a lot of people predicted we should win went out of our hands. CS says that the pitch was the main villain. The pitch has come in for a lot of criticism, but I want to also come to you with the first point before you come in with your thoughts that Pat Cummins won the toss and chose to field, and he asked India to bat. There was a certain feedback from the Indian camp that if Rohit Sharma had won the toss, he would have elected to bat first. So there isn't any huge dichotomy there. So, what were the thoughts in your mind when the match ended?
I think both you and CS probably will recall one of our conversations that happened where I said that, coaches are defined by decisions that are not taken in the group or the pool stages because ultimately nobody remembers pool and group eventually. If you get out of the pool and group, you're still not remembered anyway. But if you lose a semi and a final, you're remembered for the semi and the final, not for what you did in the pool and the group. And the big coaches, the one who understand players, who understand teams, and I am not saying that Dravid doesn't, but the bigger coaches always do some tweaking when they come and play a big final. I think what we missed was the courage shown by either the team management of Australia, which showed it through Pat Cummins when he took that decision, but at the same time, what CS says in the start, which he says and talks about the pitch, for me, it was a reminder back to school and colleges that you went for an exam, you marked everything, you know the books by heart, you know each and every chapter, and then suddenly during the exam, everybody is looking at each other. कि ये question syllabus से बाहर से आया है. And suddenly you are faced that now what the hell am I going to do? Now therein lies also the answer to what Pat Cummins did. He got everything, he knew everything out there, he knew the way India plays, and then he tweaked it at the last minute. I still feel I know this, I'm talking this right after a final, right after we've been blasted out, right after the whole nation probably feels that this is the best team that should have won. But I still feel that somewhere the tweak of Ashwin would have paid us dividends. I still get that feeling. It would have paid us dividends, and it required a certain amount of coaching courage to have taken that to throw a little bit of a spanner into Australia's mind as well as the way they function.
So if they had taken Ashwin, then whom would they have dropped?
No, I guess you
Siraj,
will have to drop Jadeja out there.
Siraj could have been easily dropped. He was not bowling at his peak. He was certainly not our best bowler. Our top best bowlers were different. And by including Ashwin, who is the best off spinner in the world, remember this. He is a very, very thinking bowler. And when you are picking a wicket like this, which is a slow turner, which is again unknown, kind of commodity even to the host team, then obviously you are picking the best team also. But again, as I have been saying all around, it's not a secret that Rahul Dravid is a man of very limited ideas. Rahul Dravid was a good batsman, but even during his batting, he had only very little approach. And again, as a coach, Shastri was a commentator. Dravid has no again experience as a coach. They are not very qualified, and I don't understand why don't India get good coaches, qualified coaches, or somebody who have the proven track record. We get all these big players. We get, or initially we got Guru Greg Chappell, who created a rift within the team. He had his own ideas. Point is, get the professional coaches. If you have to get Ravi Shastri, Rahul Dravid, Kumble, anybody, I would say pick them, but pick them as a mentor. They are not the coaches. They are not the one who are going to take decisions on which wicket to choose or which player has to be included. They should be the motivators. They should not be there in the team selection and all these matters. I mean, again, I think it was a set ideas of the team management which kept Ashwin out because of certain things. I always believe in cricket politics. I always believe that all the decisions taken on the ground have something to do with other things also. So again, this was not the best team for this particular track, and this was not the best decision that was taken to even pick the wicket.
Sandeep, there was a time in this match yesterday, and I watched right through for whatever it was worth. But when Rohit got out, and after that Virat and KL were building the innings, and they were pretty slow for about 80 to 85 deliveries. There was not a single four. Gavaskar at that point made an important comment. He says they should try and take at least 3 to 4 singles. Now, honest to God, I'll take the rap for myself purely as a fan that I felt it was an unfair criticism because one expected that push later, but that push never came. So why is it that two very experienced and probably the two best batters in world cricket got so badly bogged down they even couldn't take the singles?
I think the question was also asked in the press conference to Dravid, and he said that it's not the player's fault. He said there was a particular plan that we were playing to. When Rohit went out, there was a plan. When Virat got out, again they had to put in a different plan. He says probably maybe another couple of overs or 3 overs if Virat was still around by the time he was on 60, 65. Maybe, at that moment of time, they would have probably unshackled themselves and gone for the shots. But there's a question that also I think one needs to put up. That if you saw that the pitch was different, as CS is saying, that you saw that the pitch was slow, and you knew that it's really not going to pace around, seam around at that level, shouldn't that approach be a little in the start itself, where you're not hammering away at 8 or 10. And if you very clearly remember the over that Rohit got out, he already hit a 6 and a 4 in that. He already had 10 in the bag. There was no need to go for that shot. But that is a separate question, a separate story. But what I am asking is maybe the approach could have been very, very different right from the start of the innings, where you became accumulators to a point where you understood and knew, irrespective of whatever happens, 300 has to be on the board. And I think that should have started right with the openers.
And one more thing, my heart goes out to Rohit. Because I was never been a great fan of his captaincy, but I think the way he handled his captaincy and his leadership, I think you have to congratulate him. You have to actually give him all the support what he requires. He played to a plan. There was a plan, obviously, by the team management that Rohit will go after any bowler in the world in the first 10 overs, which is the power play overs. Okay, and that was working very well till the very last moment. Even yesterday, if you remember, that was working perfectly well. He was the one who created, sixes bhi aa rahe hain, fours bhi aa rahe hain, even singles. Everything was going as per the plan. जो लास्ट में जो हुआ, only 1 over was left, and when Rohit got out, he knew he has to go after that bowler, despite that what Sandeep was saying, 6 and 4, और उसके बाद फिर मारने जा रहे हैं. But that was the game. Throughout was successful. Until the time he went off, he got out. It was perfectly all right. The entire score was okay. You are scoring at more than 8 runs an over. उसके बाद का problem which Sandeep says, that's where I think the pressure came, unnecessary pressure, because of two things. One, they knew right from the beginning that it's a difficult wicket, and believe me, it was very difficult wicket even when Indians were bowling. They were struggling for runs. They also knew that if anybody got out between Labuschagne and Travis Head, it would have been a problem even for them. 270 could have been a winning score, on this wicket. So exactly what Sandeep was saying, at that particular time when Rahul and Virat were playing, they took unnecessary pressure. Initially, what was happening in all 10 games, Virat was taking pressure of building the innings, and KL Rahul and all these Shreyas Iyer, they were going, they were hammering the bowlers, but that didn't work. Yesterday, Rahul took unnecessary pressure. He was trying to rotate. I know it was a difficult wicket, but even you have to keep rotating the strike. You have to keep trying for your shots, and that's how Australia built their innings. But India could not build their innings as per the plans. Plan A failed completely, and there was probably no plan B.
Right. Sandeep, there's an interesting question which has come in from one of our viewers called Sports Fan, and I think it's a very intelligent question. So the question is that one thing is common in all our last 3 ODI World Cup campaigns. We plan very well, but we are one-dimensional with our approach, which teams figure out in the knockout stage. That is the point that CS was making. And after our dominance in group stages, so you were also making the point that we should be able to improvise further spring surprises in the semis and the finals, which never happened. So what about this one-dimensional approach?
I think the moment you win 10 on a trot, there is a reason you win 10 on a trot, irrespective of the sport you're playing. And that is why people give so much importance to tactics, to strategy, to being flexible. Now, this is a sport where you can easily be flexible. The point I have been making is always this, that you are playing test matches, you're playing 50 over, you're playing T20, you're playing the IPL, which are all high pressure games. You're very easily adaptable to different situations. What I feel what happened yesterday was, even though CS is saying that there was a plan for Rohit to go through, I still believe power play or no power play, you still need to adapt in those overs completely. You knew the wicket is not going to help the way you have been batting all this while long. I think there was some form of a set comfort in the blueprint that had been given, and people were slightly afraid. Just look at the way Jadeja, when he came in, there was a certain amount of fear in that body language. That what happens if I go out? What happens if I don't get the runs? What happens if this is not going to happen or that is not going to happen? The moment that clarity went away, because though that clarity was very, very clearly there in the last 10, what happened in this game? In this game, you walked in with that same mindset, with the same blueprint, and when changes were required to happen, when your mind should have completely changed the game around, you were completely taken aback. I mean, you are at sea that what the hell am I supposed to do now? Now it's easy for us to say, easy for me to say, but what happens on the field is the result. As I said, people are not going to remember that 10 in a rot, 10 wins consecutive. They're going to remember this final. And I'll just want to go back to 1982 World Cup, football World Cup, where Brazil lost to Italy. The best team ever to play a World Cup for Brazil never made it to the final. Here we made it to a final. We were within handshaking distance of picking that trophy. And I think somewhere that fear factor probably got encrypted and we just didn't do it. That last 10 meters of a 100-meter sprint, you completely fell there.
CS, there's a question coming in from Hari Krishnan Shabu, and it has got to do with the coach. So he basically asks that does India need a foreign coach like Gary Kirsten?
Well, I don't want to be, very harsh on any Gary Custon or John Wrights, but if you get foreign coaches, they are very adaptable to Indian situations. They are even worse than the Indian coaches, in that sense. I have seen that with myself, with my eyes. They are not like Greg Chappell's. Greg Chappell had other ideas. He wanted to bring, all the players out of their comfort zone, which again had problem because he was dealing with the golden generation of so-called, again the golden generation. So-called will be a very harsh word. So of Indian cricket. So I think what we need is probably yes, we should have a foreign coach who is very knowledgeable and also knowledgeable in terms of physical fitness, and overall the development of cricket. He can come and coach our coaches. I don't think we need any foreign coach to coach our players because we haven't got any cricket players. We have got the stars. You cannot deal with these stars. Nobody can come. Like Gary Custon also knew. If anybody has seen the Indian cricket team of that time, obviously Gary Custon का कोई दम नहीं था कि सचिन को कुछ बोले या किसी और को. He used to coach other fringe players. So obviously उनका role वो रहेगा. So I don't agree with this. We should have a good Indian coach, knowledgeable as well as जो trained हो. ये ऐसे कोचेज ने जो आकर के कोई कमेंट्री सुना रहा हो, कोई आकर के अपने कोई प्रोडक्ट्स बेच रहा हो. ऑल दीज प्लेयर्स आर स्टार्स. दे आर नॉट द कोचेज. You need Buchanan kind of coach. I always believe that. You need somebody who could, call any players to the swimming pool, swimming करते उनसे बात कर रहे, एक घंटे का lengthy उनका discussion चल रहा है. And then the team is being built on, your not on your name, but also on your जो professional skills है. But unfortunately, that is not happening in India. And we have tried that. We have tried every kind of thing. And John Wright was okay with this because he adopted to Indian conditions more than anybody else. So लोगों के kit bag भी उठा लेते थे, वो कुछ भी कर लेते थे. So he was a perfect coach for all the players.
I've heard a lot of stories about John Wright from Mr. Ashok Malhotra in the past.
He was the right man.
Sandeep, आप कुछ कहना चाहते हैं?
Yeah, I just wanted to just bring back the coaches thing I was discussing. I was just talking about that 82 Football World Cup. Telly Santana, Brazilian coach, Enzo Bearzot, the Italian coach. Santana played beautiful football, and I was just finished Trellini's book, fantastic, 400-page plus on just one match. So that man, the Italian journalist, has just written a book on just particular one game, 400 pages of one match. हम लोग को मैच रिपोर्ट लिखने में मुश्किल हो जाती है, वो एक मैच में 400 पेज. So what I'm trying to say is Santana went in. A lot of journalists at that time questioned him that, are you going to use the same tactics against Italy? Enzo Bearzot, to the Italian journalist, when he was questioned, are you going to use the tactics? He said, I'm going to use a tactical formation that will suit the Italians against the Brazilians. But Santana said, Brazil has always played this way and they will always play this way, and that is how Brazil will win the World Cup. The scoreline was 3-2. Hat-trick by Paulo Rossi. Brazil came back twice. But the most important point of that particular match was a decade later when Santana in an interview said that I made the biggest mistake of my life, probably in that match, where I didn't see what the Italians could have modified in their system. I thought my system was the best, and I went with it. I lost, and I lost Brazil, probably the biggest World Cup they could have ever won. A whole team, and when I'm comparing the Brazilian team of that era, I'm trying to compare it with this. This is probably one of the greatest ODI sides ever to have lost a World Cup final. That was one of the greatest Brazilian sides to have ever lost a World Cup match and not go to the final. So there are comparisons where coaches have to somehow change, modify according to the situation on that particular day to give a surprise. Beershot did that, he won. Santana could, he lost, and he has probably regretted it all his life. And I think Dravid is going to do the same.
Okay, gentlemen, I would request that please keep your answers short because there are many questions coming in from our viewers. The first one I'll toss to CS. This question is, CS, that changes you want in the team for the future?
Well, this is a very talented team, and believe me, whether it's Rohit Sharma, who is 36 probably, the eldest of all, and even he has at least 1 to 2 years more left to. Whether he continues with his captaincy, I have my own doubts. He'll probably give up and let others also be groomed, under him. So I think changes are many. I mean, obviously, after this generation change, the Shami will also go. Bumrah has couple of years. I mean, more years than that. So I think there'll be a lot of changes. But again, who are going to bring in the new players? Will it be from the IPL as we have been selecting, or will it be from the India or Irani Trophy and all those sides जो हम पहले देखते थे जहाँ से talent आता था. Right now, the stars are being picked, not the talent. I mean, there is a lot of problem that is going on with the Indian team and overall system. You have to, जो कहते हैं उसको dispel करना होगा उसको probably the right जो scouts होते हैं उनको बिठाना पड़ेगा. These selectors are not doing their duty.
CS, I'll toss a second question to you because I know this is your favorite area. It's from Chandana Singh, and the question is that does the selection process need more transparency?
Supreme Court came up with a wonderful idea of having professional coaches. They said pay them well. Before that, Venksakkar and everybody, who actually Venksakkar was probably the best selector, of our times. He picked up a lot of players, from Virat Kohli to everybody. But point is, they came up with the idea, paid them well, that make 3 selectors, irrespective of their zones, so that your zonal system should end. This political system should end. But ultimately, what happened? Even Supreme Court has gone back from its words. Lot of compromises were made under pressure. Obviously, we all know that. Giving all the respect to our honorable court, but the fact is, they have complicated their own decisions. They have complicated their own 3 orders, which were written by our Chief Justice of present time. So I have as what Mr. Channa is saying, I can only say that the system will go from worse to worse because there's a lot of money coming in. There could be 2 IPLs now, instead of 1. So I don't expect any changes in that.
Sandeep, another question has come in which says that is there need for better selection for the white ball tournament so far because only 5 bowlers may be insufficient?
I think if you just purely look at talent, I think you have enough and there's enough coming along the way. I think the IPL throws up amazing amount of talent. Question is whether जैसे हम हिंदी में कहते हैं कि आप छान के उसको ढंग से निकाल भी पा रहे हो कि नहीं. Picking up also the point about transparency, I think if Parliament is live, then why can't you have cricket selections live? This is the biggest sport you have. This is the richest sport you have. There is fans' investment probably more than what the sponsors and the BCCI and the ICC invest. I think because at the end of the day, those 120,000 or 60,000 or 40,000 who fill up the stadium are the ones who we all should be accountable, including the Indian cricket team and the BCCI. So what is the harm in having a live selection thing? I mean, you have big guys sitting out there and let the world watch, let India watch what is happening in a selection thing, like whether things are going right or not. My point is the same thing has also been told in the English Premier League. The clubs are fighting against it because the fans out there are more invested because the fans have shares. The fans buy season tickets through the year to be able to sit in those seats. Yes, we don't have that in the IPL yet, but there will come a time when the IPL will be completely governed by the fans and should be governed by the fans. And I think that is where the BCCI should be headed. Why not have live selection meetings held?
सीएस एक और सवाल आ गया है और वो इंटरेस्टिंग है, और सवाल ये है कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया सिर्फ इंडिया के प्लेयर्स के खिलाफ नहीं खेल रहा था, 1.5 लाख लोगों के खिलाफ भी खेल रहा था, और वो कैसे जीत गया?
देखिए, एक दिन पहले बहुत अच्छा आंसर दिया था पैट कमिंस ने, दैट क्या सिनेरियो होगा इफ यू कैन बीट नॉट जस्ट द टीम बट आल्सो अगेंस्ट ऑल द ऑड्स. आई थिंक ही हैज प्रूव्ड दैट. पॉइंट इज, पहली बात तो मैं जो भी क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं उनको बता दूं, 1,30,000 वाला महज एक छलावा, कुछ नहीं है ऐसा. 78 to 80,000 के लोग हैं, ठीक है. वो बहुत सी चीज़ें ऐसी है जो साइड स्क्रीन, कॉर्पोरेट बॉक्सेस, जिनको आप अलग कर दीजिए, सीट्स कम है. और दूसरा सेकेंड थिंग इज, दिस वॉज एन आईसीसी टूर्नामेंट, और आईसीसी पूरी तरह से गिरवी भारत के पास पड़ा हुआ है. लोग अपना सोना रख करके ले जाते हैं पैसा, इन्होंने अपने आप को रख के ले गए हैं. Nobody cares from BCCI आईसीसी को क्या चाहिए. आईसीसी को कोई आइडिया नहीं है. आईसीसी प्रॉमिस करती है पाकिस्तान को विल गेट यू वीजाज ऑफ 20,000 पीपल. उनके पीसीबी के चेयरमैन यहाँ घूमते रहते हैं अकेले, उनको एक को भी किसी फैन को वीजा नहीं मिला. उनके जर्नलिस्ट को लास्ट में वाघा बॉर्डर से दौड़ाया. अब टिकट है तो ठीक है, वरना पैदल ही दौड़ लेना किसी गाड़ी के पीछे, और आपको पहुंचना होगा अहमदाबाद. सो दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. आपने टिकट्स, मैक्सिमम स्टेडियम्स खाली गए थे, आपको मालूम है शुरू में, और वो हाउसफुल दिखा रहे थे. वो टिकट्स कहाँ गए थे? किस पार्टी कैडर के लिए रखे थे? किस लोगों को मैच दिखाना चाहते थे? फ्री में ही दिखा देते, बट नहीं दिखाया. बट एनीवे, एंड येस्टरडे आल्सो इफ यू रिमेंबर, पूरा ब्लू सी था पूरा स्टेडियम. क्या ऑस्ट्रेलियन फैंस नहीं थे? क्या उनको उनके लिए एक पर्टिकुलर, हमेशा जहां भी वर्ल्ड में, संदीप नोज इट वेल, वेदर इज फुटबॉल और एनीथिंग, इवन फॉर मीडिया, जो कंट्रीज दो खेल रही होती है उनके ज्यादा लोगों को पासिस मिलते हैं, वहां पर सीट्स मिलती है, रादर देन द ऑल अदर थिंग्स. कल एक भी ऑस्ट्रेलियन फैन आपको नहीं दिख रहा था. बहुत सिलेक्टिव, बहुत छोटे. तो ये प्रॉब्लम्स है जब आप टिकट्स को लेट बेचते हो, जब आप गलत तरह से टिकट्स को अपने पास रखते हो, उसकी ब्लैक मार्केटिंग होती है. एंड एवरीबडी नोज टिकट्स हैव गॉन फॉर 4 lakhs in Ahmedabad final. The
Yes.
hospitals were booked and everything was booked. So everything was mismanaged by BCCI, जिनके अंडर ICC has no control over BCCI. Rather, BCCI was controlling complete ICC.
Okay, gentlemen, we are running out of time. I'll quickly hit 2 points and let's wrap this up quickly. Sandeep, first coming to you. It is an observation. Back in time, there was Lance Klusener, who almost won a World Cup for South Africa by coming in late, and Hansi Cronje was the skipper then. He would persist in sending him only at that point, and how brilliantly Klusener played. Sky was supposed to more or less do the same role for us, but it never happened. So the element of criticism was that in the run-up, you could have given him a larger opportunity in 1 or 2 matches, sent him a little up. Do you feel that should have happened?
I think so. I think if we're going to be playing a talent like that who's proved himself at the T20 level, I'm using the T20 a little with a little more emphasis here because there has been a huge amount of criticism on him. I think in the lesser matches where you knew you were 110% convinced that you want to be winning this match on a canter, I think he should have been sent much up. You could have easily dropped a player, could have made him sit there. He could have been rested. Sky could have got a chance. And yesterday, that's exactly what happened. I mean, the man was looking completely at sea, just didn't know what to do with that many overs left. It's very difficult, when the pressure is up, it's very easy to say it. But I think it was a huge, huge amount of difficulty that the man found himself. And now he's going to bear the brunt of trolling, of everything. I think it's unfair sometimes.
Sandeep, in fact, आप पे ऐड करूं, there were no surprises in Indian any strategy throughout the world. It was complete set ideas. नंबर 1, 2, 3 रोल नंबर की तरह आपको आना है और yes sir, yes ma'am बोलना है. बल्कि even against Netherlands, you have not changed any tactics, any जो आपका कोई strategy थी गेम की. What was so compulsive? क्या ऐसी प्रॉब्लम थी? प्रॉब्लम है आपकी टीम मैनेजमेंट में, प्रॉब्लम थी, बहुत बड़ी थी। जब तक जीत रहे थे एवरीथिंग वाज फाइन। जो मैं आपको बार बार पहले भी कहता था, एक हाथी को आपने ड्रेसिंग रूम में घुमा बिठा दिया था, और बीसीसीआई वाले खुद मुझे कहते थे इस हाथी को निकालेंगे, तोड़ फोड़ करेगा। फॉर्चुनेटली फॉर इंडिया, हाथी का कल टेन्योर खत्म हुआ है, एंड आई होप अब तोड़ फोड़ ना हो, रादर कंस्ट्रक्टिव काम हो।
ओके, जाने से पहले एक प्रेडिक्शन हमारे ऑफिस में हुआ था, तो उसकी शीट हम लोग आपको दिखाना चाहेंगे। तो उसमें संदीप मिश्रा जी ने प्रेडिक्ट किया था कि इंडिया वर्सेस ऑस्ट्रेलिया फाइनल होगा और ऑस्ट्रेलिया जीतेगा, और वो हुआ। सो दैट्स क्वाइट रिमार्केबल। एंड बिफोर आई वाइंड अप, my last pointer to CS and Sandeep, I would expect 2 quick reactions from you, is that Ricky Ponting made this remark that after the match got over, that Australia's win is a big dent against, I mean, loosely paraphrasing him, against the mafia which operates in India and in this side of the world, and the cricket which is managed by big bucks. And Australia, New Zealand, and Pakistan have constantly broken the mold. So my question to both of you is, and quick reactions please, is that if Ponting feels so strongly about using the word mafia, and he's obviously not happy with the way things are managed, why does he spend so much time in the IPL, makes his bucks? Then there is no problem at all. CS, go first.
I would only say the quickest answer: love you, Ponting.
Sandeep?
I think the answer is that what he said was probably felt by most of the cricketers outside of this country. A lot of players probably would have felt it, but didn't say it. Coming back to what you were asking, or why is he playing the IPL? I think it's up to the IPL to have him. If they don't want him after this, they probably won't. But I think he was not far off from the truth.
One more
Okay,
line
so-
I want to add. One more line
Yes.
I want to add. Ponting should read and follow बिशन सिंह बेदी। अगर आपको कुछ पसंद नहीं है ना, तो वो करके दिखाइए। आप पैसा भी लेंगे, वो ठीक है, वो उनकी मैं लव यू कह सकता हूँ, बट द पॉइंट इज आप अंदर सिस्टम में भी वो इम्प्रूव भी नहीं कर सकते। और उसके बाद भी बिश पाजी ने करोड़ों रुपए ठुकराए जब वो आईपीएल को पसंद नहीं करते थे। वो कहते थे क्रिकेट पे ये लानत है, और उन्होंने वो करके दिखाया। मुझे उनसे ज्यादा और कोई रिस्पेक्ट इसीलिए किसी पर नहीं है, बिकॉज ही वॉज द मैन ऑफ वर्ड्स।
Okay, thanks to both of you for your time. Also to our viewers who sent in so many questions, watched us, reacted, liked, didn't like, and so that is all part of the process. We did try do our best in this World Cup. Who knows what will happen 4 years later? But there's the T20 coming up next year, so that's another opportunity for India. And after 2011, it has been a complete blank where any ICC title is concerned. So the skippers of India should watch out for that and try and do something to revitalize and energize this nation. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.